today's video, I want to talk about my Solar 3.0 Warlock build. It's nothing too crazy, but I wanted to go over it because people have asked. So we're just going to get into it. I have 100 Resilience, 100 Recov, and 100 Discipline, and I'm rocking a Starfire Protocol build, basically to abuse fusion grenades. This isn't the only Solar 3.0 Warlock build out there. Maybe I'll tinker with other stuff, and if people like it, I'll put that up as well. But this is the build I'm going with for the time being. You can use this literally anywhere, endgame, patrol, public events, dungeons, strikes, whatever. Basically everything but Crucible. So how this works is we're going to be abusing fusion grenades, which do a F-ton of damage now. I mean, they've always done an F-ton of damage, but even now it's somehow better. And we're going to be just cycling around that. The idea is use fusion grenades, use Empowering Rift, use Radiant, buff up your damage, and continuously throw fusion grenades until you just run dry or the opponent is dead. So the build I'm going with here is using Wither Horde, a Glaive, and you can use literally anything in the heavy slot, but realistically all you're going to be doing is just using Wither Horde, switching to Glaive, and then poking them or shooting them with your Glaive while Wither Horde is proccing. And then for the build itself, I was running Emprift, like I mentioned. For those that don't know, Emprift works with Radiant and everything stacks together. For some reason, Well of Radiance does not work with everything else. Don't know why. Whatever it is, what it is. It really doesn't matter because when you pop your Rift, and then use your melee, you're Radiant, and you're in Restoration. So basically, you're getting the benefits of Will of Radiance anyway, except you just don't have a giant sword in the sky pointing to you. So, like I mentioned, Empowering Rift, Glide doesn't matter, you can use whatever you want. Celestial Fire, because it's just better. It's just better for proccing Radiant. And then Fusion Grenade, of course, for the build. Aspects, we got Icarus Dash and Touch of Flame. And then Fragments, we've got Searing, Soulless, Torches, and Eruption. You could switch Eruption out for whatever you want, essentially. The only reason I have this on currently is because I was messing around with Rays of Precision, but you can switch this out for basically anything you want and still be good to go. Now, since you're going to be using your Grenade and your class ability non-stop for this build, I did want to mention some mods that you should be using. For example, you could be using Perpetuation, which is in your class item. Same thing goes for a solar class item. You could be using Bomber, or you could be using Distribution. And then if you have a Stasis class item, you could be using Utility Kickstarts, basically, and Grenade Kickstart to just, well, kickstart your abilities back up. Another small tip would be if you're using your Wither Horde on the ground and it's killing trash mobs around whatever target you're throwing your nades at, you can also get charged with light with this by using Blast Radius, because the GL kills will give you your charge with light, and then you use that with high energy fire, and you'll be pumping out more damage with your weapons while still doing all your grenade nonsense. One more thing I thought I would mention is Elemental Ordnance. Essentially, defeating a commander with a grenade will give you an Elemental Well, which then in turn can give you Font of Might, which then gives you more damage. And since fusion nades do a ton of damage, basically anything you throw this at that's not a boss or a mini boss, it is going to die, and then it'll just give you a well, which gives you more damage, which you then can use on a boss to just keep wailing on them. Finally, I did want to mention this just in case it wasn't clear earlier. You do want to have Class A Restoration on. It's not a must-have for this particular build, but healing while you're sitting in an Emprift is just, you know, another comfort that you can have. But of course, you can just run whatever else that you want. Any of these really work. Depending on what else you want to use. For example, if you want to use a solar bow and you want to have fun with Rays of Precision like I was mentioning earlier, then you could have that on instead. And other than that, those are the basics. That's the build. It's fun. It's pretty memey, but you know, it does output a ton of damage and actually can almost single-handedly, I should say, dunk on Atheon with just fusion grenades and some anarchy shots, but mostly fusion grenades. So there you go. That's the build. I should have some gameplay on screen already for you guys to show. It's kind of ridiculous. That's it. Let me know what you think. Do you want to see other weird builds that aren't Starfire Protocol? Just let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.